Welcome back to to Sports by GSMC podcast, everybody. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. If you are just tuning in, we just finished breaking down the first two games, the two NBA games from last night. In our first two segments, we just finished talking about the New York Knicks and how they were able to bounce back against the Indiana Pacers to take a 3-2 series lead. And the same thing with the Nuggets continuing their dominance over the Minnesota Timberwolves as of late, extending their lead to 3-2. Let me know what you think of those series in the comments. I'd love to hear it. But in this segment right here, we are going to move into the WNBA. The opening day for the WNBA was last night. There were lots of big games, none bigger than the debut of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark, and we'll talk about it in just a second, made her debut for the Indiana Fever. They did lose that game, and we'll break down her performance in just a second. But before we do, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to GSMCPodcast.net. Leave a tip or donation with a message in it. That message will pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you have a burning question about sports that you would love me to answer, all you need to do is go to GSMCPodcast.net. That link on the screen right now. Once again, GSMCPodcast.net. Leave that question for me. I will get to it. You can control what we talk about here on the show. Appreciate anything. I appreciate you taking time today to talk some sport. But yeah, like I said, talk a little bit about the NBA right now. It's been a bit since we talked about basketball. It's been since the WNBA draft. A little bit of a quick recap of the high ends, more in depth. Not too many surprises. With the big game of the night, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever fall to the Connecticut Sun, 92-71. Caitlin Clark had an up and down night. In the beginning of her night, she seemed like she was a little uncomfortable. She got going early. She had a little layup go in the beginning of but she didn't play her greatest basketball. And I'm not too worried about her. Caitlin Clark is going to be good. She's going to be really good. She had to adjust to the professional game. She's not going to show up and put up 40 points every single night. That's just not an expectation we should have. It's an expectation I think a lot of people had, and they're kind of bashing her. But the real glaring part of this is she had 10 turnovers. And that's not going to be something she does every single night. We've seen her play turnover free basketball in college, play really well, be a great passer. That's part of her game that's really kind of impressed me the most. I mean, everybody knows about her scoring. Everybody knows Caitlin Clark can pull up from anywhere and make a basket. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that she can put up 50 on you any given night. She averaged something like 40 points a game in college in their final season. It's insane, her scoring output, but also one of the more underrated parts of her game is her passing, her vision, her ability to get her teammates the ball. She had plenty, so many double doubles, triple doubles heading into it, and 10 turnovers is not going to get it done. She knows that. This is not her best game, and I'm sure she's aware of that. She'll learn from it. She said she was going to learn from it and move on. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But 20 points in your debut. Again, this isn't a great team, this Indiana Fever. They had the number one overall pick for a reason. And they had the number one overall pick two years in a row, actually. So her and Aaliyah Boston both are number one overall picks back to back for Indiana. Indiana basketball as a whole didn't quite have a great night as the Pacers also got blown out. But, the Connecticut Sun, a very, very good team. Excuse me. You had Bonner come out, scored, matched Caitlin Clark with 20 points. There was you had a triple double from Thomas. 13, 13, and 10. It's a very good Connecticut Suns team, and it's It's an Indiana Fever team with a lot of holes on it. I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried about Caitlin Clark. She'll be fine. She just needs another game. I bet you game two she'll be back to her normal self. So let's not overreact too much to her debut. There was plenty of good in there. Like I said, she scored 20 points. She led her team in points scored. 20 points. 6 of 6 from the line. She wasn't terribly efficient. 5 of 15 from the field. She was kind of just chucking up shots a little bit at the end, but I believe in her, in Caitlin Clark's ability to come back and win and be a really good player really quickly in this league. We just can't expect her to be the best immediately. She's not she's not going to be the best immediately every single time. A couple really good games from around the WNBA last night. The New York Liberty take down the Washington Mystics 85-80. As we'll finish up this segment here, New York Liberty are a very good team. Fourth quarter comeback from the Liberty. They outscore Washington by 13 points to win by 5 in that fourth quarter. Sabrina Ionescu didn't have her best shooting game. 1 from 7 from three. Only put up 15, but her teammates were able to pick up the slack there, especially in that fourth quarter. Hamilton was huge. She again comeback victory, a game that looked like the Mystics were going to win. It was a really great game to watch, but big comeback for the New York Liberty. Lots of good stuff in the WNBA. That was just opening day. It's a shorter season than a lot of people realize, but keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on all of the major breaking news around the WNBA and anything else going around the world of basketball. But coming up next, we are going to move into baseball. We're going to talk a little bit about the power rankings. It's been 2 weeks since I did an MLB power rankings. We got a nice little graphic out there. Hopefully you guys can all see it. We'll put it up in our next segment. But stick around for that. We'll be moving into some baseball. That's coming up next on Sports by GSMC Podcast Network.